When I first began studying the law of attraction and assumption in my 20s, that's over 40 years ago, folks. I didn't believe it, not really. But I went on a spiritual quest for years, attending retreats from top leaders in healing, manifesting spirituality, personal growth, and all of that, to heal myself because I had blocks that were preventing me from having the life I knew that I could create. When I tell you about manifesting, I'm telling you from raw courage here and real steps that were very uncomfortable and very out of whack with the comfort zone. I'd rather just have gone to work every day. No, that's not what I was doing. My job was to put it all on the line and follow its guidance. In other words, believe it and get into action. I was actively charging the universe with my charter and my dream and asking it to show me every step of the darn way. As long as I was willing to do my part, I kept getting the answers, but not all at once, not how I wanted. Something happened in a meditation in the Great Pyramid of Giza in Egypt. One of the several nights between midnight and 3 a.m., the star Sirius was glaring brightly, which is directly above the pinnacle of the Great Pyramid. It was in a meditation that I was shown a vision. Hi, I'm Kate Wilder, and if you're new to my channel, it's about creating the life you want to live on your own terms and without apologies. I've been manifesting all my life, and I haven't given a whole lot of examples of it yet on my channel because honestly, I didn't think anyone would be all that interested. But I have gotten emails saying, well, I don't know how to apply these techniques, or hey, you're one of a million YouTubers that are talking about this stuff and talk is cheap. So in this video, I'm going to tell you what part of my history that will give you a picture of not only how you can do this in your own life, but prove to you the power of manifestation. I'm a little more extreme in my manifesting because I made a decision that manifesting was to be a lifestyle. I've consciously created goals directly using the fascinating world of the law of attraction and its powerful sidekick, the law of assumption, for decades. I'd had childhood traumas just like everybody else, but I didn't want those old traumas and old belief systems to be hindering me my entire life. I was already sick of them by my 20s. Can you relate to that? I mean, I was sick of depression. I was sick of all of that negative stuff I've been fighting against for so long. So my spiritual quest was all about healing and clearing out my blocks and getting in touch with what was blocking me, what were my beliefs, what was going on inside. That took a lot of time. I wanted to do something to help others, but mostly to find my own life purpose. If I was ever going to find happiness in this life, as a little girl, I always knew there was more to this life than what was being shown to me. I was one of those types of people who were questioning, why was I here? What's the point? Is this all there is? Having a job and material success, society's standard life, and then you die? But why? Isn't there a higher purpose? I never accepted the notion of a conventional life. Having a career, getting married, have kids, retire, and then die. That model was not going to work for me, and I knew it from a very young age. And I knew I also needed to have an unconventional lifestyle, meaning one that was filled with risk-taking and relying on the laws of the universe to see me through and get to where I needed to go. And that is exactly what I've done, my friends. Manifesting had become a priority in my everyday life, and I was living this by listening to my inner guidance, my higher self, on every small and large decision. I was not only listening to, but I was taking action on. My message was loud and clear. I asked for my life purpose and to begin stepping into that dream and living that dream on a higher level than it already had been up to this point. I was willing to do whatever it took to get there, including any scary event or thing that the universe was going to throw on my path and force me to look at. Now, it was up to me to back it up with action. That's how I created a life of freedom for my entire career from a young age of my 20s. Many people feel secure by working for a company to give them a paycheck. I've only felt secure when I was the creator of my own reality, and that includes accepting total responsibility for myself. I knew living this way was different from anyone I knew, so I had to go it alone. I was asking to be shown my life purpose, to live my life purpose. This free space I had, I was ready to create my next dream, and I was ready to go on an adventure and do anything it took to get there. And the first thing I was told is get rid of everything. Oh my God, I was being guided at this stage to let it all go, to sell every single material possession. What? What the F? That is not what I had in mind when I asked to be shown my life purpose. You cannot ask how. You only need to ask and let go of the how. If you're brave enough to do that, you can manifest anything. This wasn't an easy task to get rid of all material possessions. How often have you done that in your life? Everything. Everything goes, except for my pets and some books and some clothes. I had accumulated material success. I owned a nice home. I had a big boat. I had a business. I had all of these pianos and all these things. I was being asked to let it all go before I was going to be shown the next step. Really? My ego mind did not want this. But my higher self kept at it, putting thoughts and feelings and visions in me, in my intuition, because I was also asking for this very thing to happen. Why do I have to do this? In order to find out the answer to my dream and to go live my dream. I don't like it this way. In other words, I was in resistance. It took a lot more writing and meditating and thinking and shifting my own beliefs before I could take that next step. I first had to let go of the idea of how it was going to happen because my ego mind was putting up so much resistance. I was willing to let go of attachment to the outcome of what would actually come to pass, how it would come into existence from nothingness, my dream, when and how it would happen. I told the universe, and I meant it, to do with me what you will to guide me to this end, because it meant everything to me and was the most important thing. I was shown from society what success is. The cars, the stuff, the lifestyle. But I kept going until that feeling was stronger than the pull to quit. The second part of manifesting is to pay attention what's being delivered on your idea once you start asking for things. I'm just going to tell you how this worked for me. I chose to listen, to pay attention to events, to my own thoughts, to my feelings, to nudges, to intuition, and then outer serendipitous events that would happen in my life. Those were things that actually got arranged for me. The more I started being a co-creator on this journey of manifesting. So I was 33 years old and I was again free to do whatever I wanted with my life because that is what I had already created up to that point. I built a business, sold the business, all based on manifesting principles. And now I was looking myself in the mirror going, what do I do now? What is this journey about? So this was my second time getting to have freedom to do what I wanted to do in life because that's the decision I made. How I wanted to live was to live how I wanted to live. And that is what I manifested. So when I was in between this state again, I was outside of my comfort zone. What I've learned is the trick to getting comfortable with being uncomfortable is to begin learning who you are and what you really want out of life. That you want so much that you're willing to take action on it and to follow your guidance along the way. And then manifest the next step. Okay, what's that mean? The first step to manifesting anything is choosing to listen, to pay attention to your inner guidance. Whatever you believe in, listen and pay attention, but ask for whatever is your next highest idea, however you choose to believe. Intuition speaks to all of us in the ways that we most understand when we listen and pay attention. All of us know that's true. Our imaginations are powerful, but the universe's is way more powerful than ours. My job was to create the highest vision that I could, so I did that. So when you decide this or something better, again, these are not just trite words. This is a feeling, a belief. It's prayer, it's meditation, it's connection. And you really do inside release the attachment to the outcome so that you can receive this or something better. I was being put to the test and to be tested whether I really wanted what I said I actually wanted. This is another problem with manifesting. Once you start putting out all this energy and you make these decisions and you're telling the universe what you really want and you're feeling it and you're writing it and you're meditating and you're doing it, you're gonna be tested. I was actually willing to take action on anything, no matter what it meant. And I really believe that. And it meant a lot to get to these rewards. It meant getting rid of everything that I owned. This wasn't my idea of a good time, because once you decide you want it, then get ready for a whole host of things you didn't anticipate or expect. I sure as heck didn't want to give up everything I'd already earned and worked so hard for, but I did it. Because in order to become the teacher of manifesting principles, it required me to go through the test of getting through my subconscious mind and work on that and get these things out of the way that were controlling me, and be able to allow my higher self to begin running the show instead. And the ego mind does not want to die. It wants to keep you limited. It doesn't even want you to expand, and it's going to fight you, and it's not pleasant. So mine was fighting me before I sold everything, and then more strongly after I did, while awaiting instructions for my next steps. You can't do this, go back, get a job. So much negative self-talk emerged that I thought I'd already dealt with by then. I had, but I hadn't. But I had the tools to continue meditation, energy release, most of this in my private life. But in moments of preparation for this next step of manifesting that I want to tell you, this next story, I wasn't shown what to do after that. That's where the risk comes in, and that's where the leaps of faith come in, where most people stop. I had to do it. Even though I was scared, I did it. I was shown that I was to start another new business, doing inspiration workshops and starting to teach this very subject, manifesting everything you want. And guess what happened? A book poured through me in 1 week's time. A workshop design and development poured through me the next week. All I had to do was be open and receive, and I knew these ideas were not coming from my brain. I mean, I knew this stuff, but the way it was coming through, that was a higher order of things, but it would not have happened had I not been open and doing all these steps that we talk about in all of these videos for real. So the next thing that happened was I was guided to take a trip to Egypt, and that was a trip with Marianne Williamson, the author, and a group of us that went with her. Something happened in a meditation in the Great Pyramid of Giza that she had arranged for 3 or 4 nights to have the Great Pyramid open to us between midnight and 3 o'clock in the morning. Now, this goes back to 1995, before all of the bad things happened in Egypt. You could no longer do that now, I'm sure, but back then, we were at the tail end of that. So inside of the Great Pyramid, one of the several nights between midnight and 3 a.m., the star Sirius was glaring brightly, which is directly above the pinnacle of the Great Pyramid. It was in a meditation that I was shown a vision of me inside of a very large motorhome, okay, living in it apparently, and going around the mountains, what felt like the western part of the United States. And that's really all I knew. But remember, I'd been manifesting, asking for the visions, asking for the next step. And that is what actually came during that time, during that meditation. But this motorhome would not be a vacation. This was going to be a full-time living. That's the sense that I got. And at first I thought this was a crazy idea. But throughout that powerful trip in Egypt, more and more was revealed to me that continued coming upon my return home. I didn't understand this vision because this was going to be expensive. I had to really start rethinking what was going on here. Remember, I had already sold everything, but I didn't really know why. And I was in a flat temporarily after I got rid of everything in my home and all. And I didn't know what was next. So this vision comes to me. And I stopped and paid attention. At first, I didn't believe in it, but then it kept persisting, and I began to believe this was the next step. I still didn't know what it meant or what was going to happen if I did this, but the point is, when you're on truly manifesting on a daily basis, what you do is you let go and you follow each step, each intuition along the way. You take action on the things that, to your best of your ability, you feel are correct and right for you. And the things that seem really big and crazy, you really take action on those too. Because those were usually the ones that really resonated. And I'm like, whoa, this is big and scary, but I'm gonna go ahead and do it anyway. So when I returned, I had already developed a schedule of these workshops with this business and the book and the information I'd gotten. And retreats too, but only locally, nothing on a national basis. But while honing those courses, I began working then on that vision of purchasing the motorhome and trying to understand what this was all about. It's because this was going to be a long full-time adventure from what I could see. And I was going to need the comforts of home. I would have to manifest that too, along with enough space for what I only had left was my 5 cockatiels, a bunch of books and clothes, and I did keep one of my small pianos I had that was a keyboard type piano. But that meant that I was going to need a coach that was at least 38 to 40 feet long, not some small little trailer. And it was going to have at least 2 slide outs so the rooms could be bumped out, because if I was going to live in this thing full time, it was going to I was not going to do it and be all crowded in and have it be uncomfortable. If I was going to do it, I deserved to have the best. And that's what I was going to go for then, because I also would have to have the courage to learn to drive such a big thing. I would have to have all of that infiltrated in me as well. But after a lot of research and a little bit of time, I ordered a motor coach, brand new, and I ordered it to be customized, and then had my dear brother build furniture for me that would house this instrument and a desk area for an office and enough room for these birds. So it was nearly 40 feet long with 2 slide outs. And it took many months for that order to get accomplished. But what was really weird about it was the timing of delivery worked out perfectly, coinciding exactly with the same week that my last scheduled workshop was finished here and done. I've been doing them now and attracting a client base. Not knowing how I would earn an income on the road, I began visualizing. I began journaling and using my writing techniques, meditations, vision boards, and affirmations to create the dream before it became a reality, to the best of my ability. But I still was asking the universe to fill in the gaps for me, but it wasn't giving me all of this stuff at once. It was like, you take a leap of faith, we'll show you the next step. You take another leap of faith, we'll show you another step. And let me tell you folks, this is not for the faint of heart. This is really hard, scary stuff in this 3D world that we're in here to live this way. And so when I tell you about manifesting, I'm telling you from raw courage here and real steps that were very uncomfortable and very out of whack with the comfort zone. I would like to have had things done really backwards, like know what was going to go on before I actually spent a fortune on a motorhome. I wasn't shown other than do this inspiration, continue these workshops, buy the motorhome. Okay, well, all right, how am I going to make money? Where am I going? I was actively charging the universe with my charter and my dream and asking it to show me every step of the darn way. So I took the time to work it out through my mind and my visions as best I knew at the time. And I had to leave space for the universe to fill in the how-to because I didn't know. But I had to trust. I had to trust because the alternative would be sheer terror. And terror and fear equals failure. I had to slay my fears and get them out of the way by shifting my energy continually, every day, as many times as it took when I felt it, to get out of that way of feeling and get into the vibrant, joyful way of expectation and knowing that this is gonna happen and it's for me. By taking action and doing the thing that you're afraid of. All of these things I'm telling you are real, and it's how it has to be done. It's how it works. I'm sorry, my friends, it doesn't work by sitting on the couch, being lazy, and you're looking at what other people are doing. It doesn't work. I mean, I was a young woman about to take delivery on a huge thing that I didn't know anything about. I didn't know how to drive it. I didn't know where I was going. I didn't know what I was gonna do on the road. In other words, I had no bookings. I had the programs developed by now and I had tested them and I'd been doing workshops, but I didn't have any actual bookings in the West Coast, where apparently I was going to be heading to Colorado, New Mexico, the Four Corners, to California. I was shown that I'm going to many of the known spiritual vortex locations in the West Coast of the United States. That's what I knew. So the phone call came in, the coach was in, and it was January 13th. It's winter. And the dealership is 3 hours away from me, by the way. By the time my sister drove me over there, by the time I got finished with the 6-hour orientation to literally learn every system in this thing, from hydraulic jacks to sewer or whatever, not even how to drive it yet, but it was now a blizzard outside. So by the time I was ready with all of this training and taking delivery, I didn't know how to drive it. So what I got was a brief lesson around the parking lot in the snow from one of the salesmen. And while I was behind the wheel, learning to turn right and left and get a feel for like what's behind me, like it's massive, right? The advice from the salesman was this. He said, okay, the best I can tell you now, since we don't have time, we can't take you down the road and all that, is you need to decide to look at the white line in the left-hand middle of the road or the white line along the side of the road. Don't look at both. Pick one or the other when you're driving and make that your side peripheral focus, because if you don't, you're gonna take out mailboxes. I set out on that full-time adventure. I was age 36 now in that motorhome, and I would live and travel by myself with my 5 cockatiels for almost 4 years. This wasn't a vacation. I was to manifest my life purpose by creating my new life, by creating my life purpose, my dream, while I was actually manifesting. And my dream and life purpose was to teach other people how to find their life purposes. That was it. That's what the dream was. That's what unfolded through the years. Nothing was really planned. I had my visions and my beliefs, and that was all. So each day, I was open to what was planned for me, day after day after day. One decision I made was to allow my intuition to guide me each step of the way. The second time, I was manifesting from scratch, and I was going to allow more space for magic to come in, for things that were unexpected to be shown to me. So it would be fun and exciting. And this all happened. There would be no office building, corporate clients this time. Instead, I put my heart, my trust in God, the universe, however you're believing, and it was real. And so it went. Here's what happened. After I left, and I just went where I was guided. I kid you not. I went where I was guided. And the first stop was Boulder, Colorado. Next stop was in the mountains of Colorado, up by Vail. And then there were ways that I was shown to stay and live places for 6 months at a time, for 3 months at a time. So you hook up all of your equipment. And there were no cell phones. I had a satellite telephone on top of the roof. And I think there was cable TV, but that's about it. Once you hook up permanently. You weren't going different places every single night. That's exhausting. That's really hard to do in a big coach like this, especially towing a car. But here's what happened. Once I got out there and got started, I would be at a coffee shop in Boulder and meet this person who then we start chit-chatting. Oh, and lo and behold, they hire me to come and do a talk at a university locally. Oh, and then the people at that who came to that workshop introduced me to some other people that then said, oh, we'd like to have you do a workshop over here. It just snowballed. I remember doing maybe just a couple of advertisements in the newspaper, no less. There was no internet, and filled some other workshops and retreats that way. Then I scheduled some retreats in Arizona and Santa Fe, New Mexico, in these vortexes of high spiritual energy, and invited some of my former clients from my home state to fly out, and included these packages. And by that time, I'd already been also creating guided meditation tapes. Yes, they were cassette tapes at the time. Okay, you youngsters, I have originals, yep, cassette tapes, and I'm trying to repurpose those now and bring them back to life, you know. So yeah, I had books, I had the tapes and the book, and all that jazz was all created. Everything just snowballed as I listened, followed, took action every day by day by day. One synchronistic event led to the other, because you know why that happened? Because I expected it to. I was in this energy of expectation every single day. When I left that motorhome to go get food or go get coffee or whatever, I expected to bump into some unexpected person and have some serendipitous connection happen. I'm talking about just all my purpose and doing all this and that. And every time, I mean, one thing led to the other, led to the other, led to the other, led to California, to San Diego, to working with some pretty prominent people for a while, and all kinds of very interesting synchronistic events. I was at the point where I expected everything good to unfold, like money, people, friendships, my life purpose, business, having fun, my birds, traveling, the RV, heading one direction, getting told to go in another. I was living it and following it and being rewarded for the courageous acts of doing everything that I was being told and shown to do to meet the universe halfway in what I said I wanted to manifest. I really hope you get this. I really hope you get this, because this is how it works. And this is the joyful excitement part of it. And this is when you feel like snap, snap, manifesting is so real, it is almost like magic. Because it was. It was getting that way for me. And there were periods where things were just coming left and right. I wasn't even doing it. I didn't even know I thought that thought and something was showing up. Like, oh, I guess I thought that thought. Oh, somewhere back there. Or I had a belief or a feeling like, oh, well, I need a little more money. Oh, well, there's a phone call that comes in out of the blue from nowhere. I mean, these things were just happening on my path every single day. And it was so joyous and so fun. I can't even describe it to you. And yeah, it was so scary all at the same time. You feel all of these emotions, but the fear would drive my energy and make me keep going. And that all, it just was like this cycle of excitement. I scheduled retreats in Colorado and invited people from the home state to attend, with the Hotel Colorado and cave experiences and meditating on mountains and having wolves watch us. A whole host of things that will seem very crazy probably to you, but they were not. They were real. These retreats in Arizona and other places also had really magical things that happened. Too many serendipitous events I can share with you in this video that's way too long already. I'll try to share more specific things along my journey on YouTube, and the reason I'm doing this is because I was guided to do it. I'm kind of at that same place where I'm bucking the system a little, and I'm like, oh, I don't know if I want to do this. This information's been out there already on YouTube for dozens of years. I'm behind the game. Now, people are blah, blah, blah. The ego's like, people don't want to listen to you. Your channel's not going to grow, blah, blah. But you know what I have to do? Same thing I've always done. You just can't allow, that's it. That ego mind can't be involved in this endeavor. If for some reason this endeavor shifts gears at some point, okay, fine, then I'll shift and do something else. I always have. But this is where it is right now that I'm being guided to do. And so I'm following what the universe is telling me to do. So when I get a comment with people saying, oh, this is all talk is cheap and it's just like what everybody else says, no, it's not. I can promise you it's not. I can promise you 99% of the people teaching manifesting out there have never put all of this on the line and done it for so long in so many different ways. Letting go of security, this is very different than someone who's had a job all their lives. There's a lot more exposure in life when you put your butt on the line for your dream and your life purpose. There came a point in time where I was being guided to come off the road. And that was another part of a whole process I had to go through. Teaching manifesting. I bought that motorhome in my 30s because I did not want to wait till I was 60 and be tired and follow this retirement path. Like, you got to do everything in this order. What if I died before I got that dream done? I didn't know. I wanted to live while I could. Seize the day, carpe diem, take the opportunity. Those weren't just words to me. It was a matter of actually living my dream for real. What was put in my soul from birth to do. So what I've learned most about the power of manifesting is not to question the how. It isn't my job to know that. It's my job to put everything out to the universe, that which I feel, that which I envision, that which I believe I can have in my life, and then step back and do my part by taking action steps. Even the smallest baby step will be rewarded by giving you the next step and the next step. And be prepared to not be shown the way. You don't get to see it until you take your step. You are forced to make the leap of faith in many occasions. The leap of faith happens before you get the reward, my friends. It isn't backwards. You don't get to go, oh yeah, well, prove it to me, and then I'll do it. Nope, universe doesn't work that way. That is not how it works, my friends. You have to do your part. So in that detachment, when you lose attachment to the outcome, the universe then takes your requests and begins working on it. But it doesn't work alone. It will expect you to do your part, absolutely. And when you get all caught up in overthinking and trying to control how it's going to happen, you're going to lose every single time. Through this story, it's my hope that you'll found some manifesting techniques. In the course I'm creating, I'm going to go through specific details to help those who want it. If you're thinking and believing and taking action on your vision, I'd love to hear from you. Consider sharing this video with someone that might be interested. Subscribe, of course, it means everything. If you like these stories, it really helps if you comment. Otherwise, I don't know that it's even of interest to people. If you have a story you'd like to have me tell, feel free to email me. If you'd like to possibly be a guest on my show, email me about that as well. Be well, my friends.